my name's Ms. Wilson, and I'm one of the band directors here with Appoquinimink School District. Today we're going to go over how to get a sound out of the oboe reed and then how to put the entire instrument together. So for our first lesson, we're going to sit on the floor, and it's best to do that a few times when you open your case, just in case you happen to open it incorrectly. It doesn't have very far to go. And then after that, you're going to want to open it on a flat surface. So a lot of cases have the instrument brand listed on top, and if that's the case, you want that facing towards the sky. This one doesn't, and that's fine. But instead, what you're going to look for is that the handle is on the bottom part of the case. Once you've checked to make sure that's where it is, you can go ahead, unlatch the case, and open the oboe. Now, this little piece right here is all important because without it, you're not going to get a sound out on your oboe. This is called the reed. It's a double reed, and what that means is you have two pieces of wood put together. The two pieces of wood are going to vibrate against each other, and that's how the sound is going to be created. You have to make sure that the reed is wet, or else it's not going to vibrate. And then you do have to blow pretty hard. I'm always amazed at the amount of air it takes to play this instrument. So lots of air. See if you can just get a sound out on the reed. Now, in order to separate the notes and tongue them, you want to touch your tongue to the back of the reed, almost at the tip, and think ta, 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 ta. So you can try that right now on just the reed. It helps to make a cleaner sound while you're playing. Then our next step is we're going to add the reed to what we call the upper joint. I'm just going to see if we can get a sound on this, because now, since it's longer, we're going to have to put in a bit more air. So, what we're going to do now is take the upper joint, and before we connect it with the part we call the lower joint, I'm going to take and add, you'll notice on your oboe that there are going to be some brown corks. You're going to want to take the cork grease that you should have in your case and just put a little bit on. A little bit goes a long way. It's always best to add a little bit at first, and then if you need some more, add it afterwards. Just take and rub it in with your fingers. It's going to help the different parts of the oboe slide together more easily. And you don't have to put on cork grease every time, but whenever it starts to get a little tricky to put together, add some more cork grease on. Then you're going to take the lower joint, and you are going to carefully twist them together. You always want to try and hold the instrument where you have the least amount of keys. Then you'll know if your oboe's lined up correctly by having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They should all be in a line, and that's how you know you've got your upper joint and your lower joint connected correctly. Just make sure the flat part of the side, the flat part of the reed, one of those sides should be facing and lined up with those 6 keys. Finally, you can take the bell. This is where the sound's going to come out. Again, holding it where there are the least amount of keys. Twisting it on carefully. Then, your right thumb is going to go under the thumb rest. Your bottom 3 fingers will hover or stay right above these 3 keys. Your top hand is going to stay above these 3 keys. And the first note we're going to play is D. So, you'll notice that on the very top key, you've got a tiny hole, and then you kind of have a little key underneath. In your book, if you see HH, it stands for half hole. And so if you have a note that needs to be played half hole, you need to take and slide your top finger down so it's not covering the little circle part. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thumb under the thumb rest. See if we can get our D out. Making sure the reed is wet or else it won't vibrate. that's our D. Then we're going to try our second note, which is a C. One finger on top, one on the bottom. All right. Each time, making sure your tongue is hitting the top of the reed so you get that nice clean sound. So, taking apart the instrument, you want to take the reed off, and right away, because once a reed is broken, you can't reuse it, put it in its case for safekeeping. If you have cotton in your case, then make sure that the wooden part touches the cotton. Then put the cap back on. Then you can take the bell off. Separate the upper joint and the lower joint, always moving where it has the least amount of keys. All right. Then once we've got everything in there, if you have it in correctly, the case should easily close. If it doesn't, check to make sure you've got all your parts in the right slots. You may have to move them around a little bit. Then once you do, and close the case, make sure you latch the case, and you're good to go until the next time that you go to practice.